My name is Danny Singer, and I am the founder and CEO of Noetica. Today I would like to introduce you to a new technology that we have launched recently, sporting the snappy name of Skills and Ability-Based Routing Engine, or SABRE, as we lovingly like to call it. This new technology is aimed at increasing the effectiveness of your contact center and therefore boosting your revenues without incurring any additional cost.
Skills-based routing is a relatively old technology. It's probably 2 or 3 decades old, since the beginning of contact centers. It's very much associated with the concept of an automated call distributor, or an ACD, and it simply routes inbound calls to call center agents that have the correct skills for the kind of calls that are coming into the contact center. I think most of you will be familiar with it. The skill requirement is mainly determined by the telephone number that was dialed by the caller. So if you called one number for service, you will be routed to agents that have a particular ability to handle service calls. And if you're calling a number for sales, you will be transferred to agents that have a better sales ability. There are some more advanced systems that even do some database dips that actually figure out what happens when a particular person is calling and that person is routed to a particular set of skills. It is widely used in most contact centers, mainly for inbound calls, and it's used to increase first call resolution, reduce average call durations, as well as increase customer satisfaction. So there's nothing new there. Now, we are trying to take this now to the next level, and the basic idea here is that agent skills are not binary. They're not necessarily a yes or no, do you possess a skill. The ability levels can range from 0% if you don't have the skill at all to 100% if you're an absolute master of that particular skill. And also, these ability levels are dynamic and they can fluctuate over time. Sometimes within a single day or a single hour. An agent could have a good day or a bad day. Also, another new thing that we introduced is that skills don't necessarily apply to inbound calls, they also apply to outbound calls. Therefore, we introduced this new technology called SABRE. So what does it do? It continuously adjusts abilities in real time, so that the agents with the highest ability are kept busiest. Therefore, you get a successful outcome in more cases. So how does this thing work? Well, let's use a sporting metaphor. So let's say that we got a penalty shootout and we have basically ordered our players in order of their skills. So basically, our best scorer will be at the front, and possibly our goalkeeper or the worst scorer will be at the back of the queue. So either the dialer or the inbound ACD will deliver calls to these players or agents. And one by one, they will take their chances to score a goal. So, assuming that they actually are successful and they score a goal, or in other words, they convert the call that they've been delivered, their ability score will be increased. And therefore, when they return to the queue, instead of returning back to the back of the queue, they will return to their natural position according to their ability score, which will be higher. On the other hand, if they miss, their ability score will be reduced, and therefore they'll join the queue more near the back of the queue. What this means is that you will get the sort of dream scenario for a football manager, or indeed in this case a contact center manager. Your top scorers, which will basically be your best performing agents on a particular skill, will get more chances, read more calls. That means that you'll get more conversions because their conversion percentage is higher. As a result, with the same number of calls and the same number of agents, you'll get more successful outcomes. And I promise at this point it will be the end of this footballing metaphor. Basically, what is the innovation in this? There's 3 aspects to the innovation. The first aspect is the fact that we have a real-time closed feedback loop. So basically, agents are delivered call numbers according to their ability. That we've established in the previous slide. But what we do is every time they get a call, we evaluate the success of each call that's been handled in real time. And as we do so, we then recalculate the agent's ability score in the relevant skill, also in real time. Also, what happens, using the APIs that we provide in the technology, we adjust the ability score in real time using those API calls. And because of that, the ACD or the predictive dialer will adjust their routing to deliver to this adjusted ability score for the skill. And this cycle is continuously updated in real time. The second innovation here is that we have applied this to outbound, not just for inbound. So basically, when we look at predictive dialers, delivering calls from predictive dialers to agent is not very different from delivering inbound calls. Basically, what we are doing, we are delivering connected calls to agents. Therefore, we can apply the same logic that traditionally was applied to skill-based routing for inbound to outbound. Predictive dialers traditionally have relied on the assignment of agents to lists or campaigns based on their skills. So the next connected call will always go to the longest waiting agent. And for example, if you had French-speaking agents, they would be assigned to a French language campaign. An English-speaking agent will be assigned to a UK or a US campaign. And bilingual agents will be assigned to both. Now, what we can do now is add another dimension of skills and ability related to performance. So, for example, if we look at a fundraising campaign, all agents could be assigned a fundraising skill, regardless of languages. So let's look for a moment at the actual science behind the possible calculation of the ability score for an agent. The time of this video does not allow me to go into great detail in terms of how this particular example is calculated, but we can pause the video and actually examine it yourself if you're interested. But in principle, what it does, it actually creates a target ratio, which means the number of good results that we expect over a certain period of time. And then we calculate an actual ratio of how many results we've got over a current period of time. So let's say we aim for 10 conversions per day, and at the moment it's midday and we've achieved 5. So we're basically in line with target. That will basically generate us an ability score of 50%, which is just average. So if it's midday and we now have 7 conversions, then basically we'll be above target, so our score will be somewhere like 70%. So if you want to convince yourself of this, you can simply put some figures in the formulas that I'm presenting here. Now, there is a moral aspect to all this, and agents will immediately say, well, this is not very fair, because wouldn't less experienced agents be at a disadvantage? And what if an agent just has a bad day? How can mediocre agents improve if they don't get a chance? Now, despite appearances, this is actually quite a fair system. A new agent will always start with an ability score which is at the median of the team. So it's somewhere in the middle of that queue of footballers that are queuing up to take penalties. Now, if their ability score drops, which is very likely to happen initially, they will get fewer calls and longer wait times, but will value each call more and try harder. Each successful call will provide an immediate reward and incentive, as it will boost their position in the queue. More importantly, and probably most importantly, because this is ruled by an algorithm, it is always fair in the sense that algorithms do not have favorites. It's if you're good, you'll get a better score. If you're not so good, your score will drop. And it's not controlled by humans, it's controlled robotically. This is another illustration. Basically, what you will see in most call centers, you will see that in terms of ability, the agents will follow roughly a normal distribution. So most of the agents will be somewhere in the middle in terms of their ability scores. You'll have a few stars and you'll have a few beginners or less successful agents. What we're doing with SABRE, we're simply applying a distortion to that. We're basically creating a bias so that the agents with higher ability scores are in front of the queue for when the next call happens. That doesn't mean to say that lower ability agents don't get any calls. It simply means that they will get slightly fewer calls. Now, the commercial benefit of this is quite obvious. Imagine a fundraising contact center that raises donations for a good cause. So let's say we got 100 agents handling 50 live calls per day each. let's say that the average donation is £25. The current conversion rate is 20%, i.e. every fifth call results in a donation. 50% of agents have a conversion rate of 25% and the other half 15%. So looking at that formula, the total raise per day will be about £25,000. Once you introduce SABRE, the agents with a higher conversion rate will get more calls, let's say 20% more. The higher ability agents will typically average a larger average donation, say £30, while the lower ability ones only £20. So a simple calculation, which I won't bore you with, results in a total raise per day of 28,500, which is basically an additional £3,500 per day, a 14% boost in revenues, or £750,000 per year, just by introducing this technology. So basically, with the same number of agents, same number of call attempts, same number of records, the same level of administration, you get a very significant increase of revenues. What that means? Higher profits. What this also adds is a dimension of gamification, which comes automatically with this technology. So basically, this is just an imagined example, but if you look at, this is our normal user interface, where a particular agent can have an avatar and they can basically see their current ability score, they see how the ability score fluctuates, how do they do against the rest of the team, a bit of encouragement saying you do 2 more hits today, you'll be in the top 10%, this is how much you raised, this is your today's hits, you had 4 hits. So this can change in between calls. Agents can actually see how they're doing, and you can treat this as a bit of fun, but also increasing performance of the whole contact center. To conclude, our aim is always to leverage technologies in new ways to deliver responsible yet efficient and productive contact center operations. This is what we aim to do here at Noetica.
Thank you for watching.